Our guest today is Simon Williams, CAIO and MD of Energy at Atelic. Welcome.
Hi, great to be here.
Pleasure. Congratulations to Atelic on the MOU and partnership with Reach Digital.
Thank you very much.
Now, you've been instrumental in the development of the Studio suite of products. What do you believe are the benefits of these to the Atelic customers?
So at Atelic, we've really taken an industry approach to delivering AI and agentic workflows. There's lots of solutions out in the market that are generalized, right? So you'll have LLMs, which will be obviously trained on various data sources from the internet. But when it comes to industry and kind of mission critical workloads, for example, manufacturing, for example, energy, particularly in the upstream domain, where you're working with operations that are really data sources and decisions that you make really have a huge impact, right? So these are situations where you will have a lot of downtime and very expensive operational systems.
Right. Now, your work at the intersection of AI and energy, where are you seeing the real impact today? Not in pilots, but in operations.
Yeah, so in operations, I think we're getting to the phase with the technology stack that we have,
right,
where you look at, okay, so we have traditional data streams, IoT data coming in from your assets and from your operations, and traditionally, customers have taken the approach of, okay, we're looking at that data. We may have some like predictive analytics. We may have some dashboards. You have that one piece, then. You've had the next phase, which in the last 5 or 6 years, you've seen the emergence of things called digital twins, which is ingesting that data, building physics-based and ML-based models to provide like predictive analytics and to try and identify issues that could happen on your operation. And in the last 3 years, we've kind of added another piece to that puzzle, right? So we have LLMs and we have agentic systems that can start to look at that data, look at the comparison between the digital twin and the inference, and really start to come up with proactive discussions and proactive inferences using that data. So you've gone from being able to read the data on a very simple dashboard to being able to then model the data and have a baseline comparison so you can see, okay, is something wrong or is something deviating? So predictive analytics. Into the stage where, okay, you can add context to that. You can understand your operation. And this understanding piece is really important. What we've built at Atelic, what we call the supervisory system, is we'll have the supervisor agent and he will be monitoring the operation in terms of all of the contextual pieces, not just the real-time data streaming in from your asset, but any reports that you have, ERM systems, any data that needs to add to your overall picture. What does the asset look like? What's it doing right at that time? And then you can connect that with the ability for LLMs and agents to understand that context and start to advise, start to give your operator pieces of information, useful pieces of information, and eventually, the way that I see the industry going is more into decision making. So you're going to have digital twins combined with LLMs and agents making decisions for you on the end. But we're not quite there. This is still early stage, but this is what I see in the future.
Right. Now, everyone in AI talks about moving forward. Nobody talks about slowing down. So what's something you deliberately slow down inside Atelic to ensure long-term integrity?
Yeah, so good question. So everyone's moving very quickly.
Right.
And the challenge that you're going to face within large enterprise companies is that you need to build trust within your user base, right? And for some industries, this is less important. For manufacturing and for energy and for anything that is doing anything that is in the kind of high level mission critical scenarios, you have to be 100% confident in what your agent or what your AI model is telling you, right? And this comes with a few things. It comes with building slowly in terms of ensuring that what you do, that you have benchmarks and that you're matching that against your existing data sets. So you're always iterating, you're always checking what you're doing, validating that offline, not in production. It comes with transparency. So whenever the model or the agent is coming with a decision or an inference or a piece of information, that it's telling you where it's resourcing that information from, right? Saying that, okay, I've pulled, for example, if you're in a real-time operation, it's like, okay, well, I suggest that this would be the next step that you do. And I've based that on the data set that I've pulled from your ERM system, combined with your real-time data, combined with the modeling that I've done automatically. This is the story that I'm seeing, pushing that to the operator so he can make his own decision, right? So really having visibility on those steps and those decision pieces. And at Atelic, that's key when we're building these agentic workflows, that we really want to have that kind of vocabulary built in, right? So it's a very verbose system. It's telling the operator, what to do or what suggestion to do and why it's come to that conclusion, the data sources that it's using. And I've spent like 10 years trying to deliver automation systems within the upstream domain in energy and within manufacturing as well. And it can't be underestimated, the kind of challenge that it's going to be, that the end operator, right? The guy who's working on the factory floor, the guy who's working on the oil rig, the guy who's working on the production facility, really needs to trust. Because if they don't trust, they won't use it, right? They'll ignore it, right? So you really need to make sure that that you build that trust. That's something that's done. It's not done within a few hours. It's done over weeks and months, right? Of the system being verbose, telling you the right answers. And once you build that trust, only then will you actually get the return of investment. Because you can build an AI model, you can push it out to the field, you can push it out to your factory, but only if they're using it and they're getting the right answers that will really change how you work and how you operate, will you see the return of investment on the model that you've built.
Absolutely. Now, you've led programs in complex environments. What's the one lesson about scaling AI responsibly that you wish more executives understood?
So there's kind of two approaches that you need to take. One is start small and scale quick.
Right.
But the other one is a kind of a top-down view. You really need to work out where you're going to start in terms of building out AI models and delivering those agentic workflows, right? So if you look at large organizations, where do you start, right? Typically, the C-level will go out into the field and they will ask for particular work streams and use cases, and they'll end up with 1,000, 1,500, potential use cases. Where do you start? Where do you allocate those to really start to drive return of investment, right? So at Atelic, our approach is we actually have a very systematic approach. We first build a kind of overview or model, if you like, of your enterprise.
Right.
And then we actually compare that with financial data. We compare that with the structure of your organization. And we start to take a holistic view of where you should start using those or building those AI models and those supervisory workflows. You should match that against the cost, right? So there's always a cost for a workflow that you do. You combine that with your financial data. You combine that with how much the domain that will bring the most value to your company. And then you should start looking at difficulty to deploy and then return of investment, right? This is very, very important. There's lots of very cool use cases. There's lots of things that you can do, but where do you really drive the return of investment? And this is where the Atelic systematic approach tries to start to look at that, okay? You can look at how difficult something is to do versus its return of investment, and then you start at that low end of the scale, right? Easy to implement, quick return of investment, and then you build. Then you get momentum within the enterprise, within the customer, and you then start to move on to the more and more complicated use cases, right? So that's kind of the Atelic approach.
Right. What trends do you see emerging in the world of AI?
So right now we're kind of very much in the stage where everybody's talking about it. I think there's definitely a mismatch between what the expectations of the C-level are and what the reality we can do.
Right.
But I definitely see that the combination of the real-time data, the IoT data that it will be coming in from the assets of the companies, combined with the capabilities that we can do with traditional AI, right? So physics-based models plus AI models plus agentic workflows. This is going to percolate into every aspect of the company, right? And I think we're going to see less AI as something that is, we're going to be, let's use an AI model. I don't think in 5 years you're going to see engineers or you're going to see your workforce saying that. It should percolate very quietly into the workflows, right? And it'll just be an assistant that will sit next to, particularly in the industry, heavy industry domain, it'll be an assistant that will kind of invisibly sit next to every worker and support them in their day-to-day action, right? Help them make better decisions, help them gather the data that they need to really change the way that they operate or change the systems that they have there. And I think what we'll see in the next 5 years is we'll move from this kind of everyone's talking about it to it just slowly percolating into the systems, right? Slowly percolating into the workflows and then really driving business. And it should be, I'm hoping that in the next 5 to 10 years, it really becomes an invisible system, right? That people just were using in their day-to-day, like electricity, right? That it's just invisible. It's always there, but it's helping us on our day-to-day life, right?
Okay. So GITEX is full of new technology. So what's the one AI shift that you would like enterprises in the coming years to adopt or take forward?
I mean, the big shift for me is let's get off the slides, right? Let's get out of talking about it. Let's get. I've seen 1,000 slides saying 1,000 things. Let's start building, right? Let's go out there. Let's look at the data sets that you have. The technology stack is there. It's still in the hardening phase. So you look at the nascent technologies there, both in like agentic workflows and also building LLMs and working out how you can build bespoke industry ones. That technology is still hardening, but while it's hardening, we need to be building, and then we need to be. If it fails, we need to iterate until it works, right? So I think we need to get out of the discussion phase and just get into your data sets. The good thing about today's development, like kind of landscape, is you can iterate very quickly, right? So you can build very quickly, you can deploy very quickly, and if it's not perfect, then iterate until it is perfect. But most importantly, start to build, right? And that's what I'm hoping to see in the next 6 to 8 months, that we stop talking about it and we actually stop talking about the technology and we move to start talking about the solutions and integrating that into actual workflows and essentially making companies more efficient and making the worker's life more easier to do stuff, right? I mean, that's essentially what it comes down to.
Absolutely. That was insightful. All the best to Atelic on its journey. And we'll wait and see how AI plays out in its, entirety as the years go by. So thank you for that insightful conversation. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Yeah.